Let's start on this gorgeous vintage desk. So I'm going to start with a base coat of a dark brown color. The one I'm using here is Dixie Belle's Coffee Bean. It is an espresso brown color. I just wanted to get a base coat on so that when I went to do my finish, I could sand down and the brown would show through. You really aren't going to see the brown hardly at all, but I paint the entire surface, even though I will probably only be sanding the show through on the edges and the curves and stuff, but I always want to do it just because it needs a base coat anyhow. Next, I decided to use a raised stencil on this. Now this is a desk, so when you do a desk, you've got all four sides to do because it's not the back and the front. The desk has finished side also on the back side because the desk, you would set it in the middle of the room. People could walk up to it, you sit behind it type of thing. So I have a stencil here. I'm going to be taping it on. And I'm one to never want my stencils like straight. I just don't like them. Like, I don't want it to be perfect. I'm not like a uniform gal. I want it to kind of be just willy-nilly. So I had some Dixie mud in my fridge. What this is a product that works really, really good for raised stencils. I am just going to take my putty knife, take some of my mud, and throw it over the top. It's a Dixie Belle product. It comes in 3 colors, white, brown, and black. I just happen to only have white on hand. I don't really care what color I use, to be honest with you, because I'm going to paint over it anyhow. It's a very thick compound, and I'm just going to spackle it on, so to speak. It will dry. It'll take a few hours to dry. I'm just going to kind of go and do it in not a deliberate pattern, more of a random pattern, right? Just making sure that I move it around, and I did apply tape to just hold it up there. It makes it easier, right? Just to kind of manipulate it and work with it. So just putting it on. You could put it on straight if you wanted to, but this is my style and the way that I like to paint. So many people can do it nice and straight, up and down, line it all up. It's just not how my brain works. So I'm just going to kind of put it on, let it do its thing, take the excess, because it's just going to give just a little bit of a bump out when I remove the stencil and it dries. It will have just a little bit of a raised effect. You could also do this with, say, paint, but it wouldn't have a raised effect. So this stuff will make it kind of have a little bit of a, when you ran your hand over it, you'll be able to feel it. So super fun product, super easy to use, and just get it on there wherever you want it. Like I said, I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm just going to randomly put it on here. Randomly. So I'm just going to put as much as I actually need. And to be honest, I don't really think about it. I just kind of like put it up there. I'm like, yeah, this looks good. Yeah, this is just enough here. And then I pull the stencil off and then I let it dry. Now this one I did let dry overnight because it does take a hot minute to get it to really dry. Another great thing you can do with this product, it's called Dixie Mud and it's by Dixie Belle. Just keep in mind that I do retail all the products that I am using on the video today, and I will link it in the description where you can find the products. But you can also, have you ever wanted to change the hardware on a piece of furniture? Dixie Mud is a great filler. It works fabulous for filling holes, filling in cracks, especially if you're going to paint over them. So, and it does come, like I said, in 3 colors, black, brown, and white. I just happen to have white. So this is why I don't do a pattern. I just wanted it to kind of be, we're going to paint over this, okay? So this just gives you an idea of what it looks like. I was running out of mud, and how you're going to put it on. I am actually going to put it on both of the end caps on this piece, and then the back side. So it's going to have 4 spots and then the middle drawer on the front to just tie it all together. The reason I don't want it lined up and perfect is because that's just a lot. It ends up being too much. I want it to be more random. The customer that ordered this from me just wants a custom, one of a kind, not like anybody else's piece. So that's what we're going for. We're just trying to make it just so random, one of a kind, and it is an absolutely gorgeous desk. So you put it on and you peel your stencil off immediately. You don't wait for it to dry or anything like that. You do just immediately take it off. That one turned out different, right? They're all different. So I did do it on the drawers too. Now this is dried overnight. You will, when you come back, you will feel that it's a little bumpy and rough. So what I do is I take a piece of 150 sandpaper and I just lightly sand over that area. It's going to create some dust, but that's okay. You just want it so that if somebody puts their hand over it, they don't like catch their skin or cut themselves, because it can be a little rough. You're still going to see the embellishment after you paint over it, okay? So there's little nubs, because when you pull a stencil, sometimes your mud will kind of pull up and it has little points on it, and it will really scratch you. We don't want your furniture to scratch you. So, like I said, it doesn't take away the embellishment. You're just kind of knocking down whatever little nubby textures are on there. See all the sand dust that it made? I just got out a brush and just wiped it off. That's how much dust it makes from just sanding on this piece. It's not going to hurt my finish. I'm going to paint over this anyhow, right? So we're going to kind of go with a tan color on this piece. So we did it to all four sides, okay? I could have used brown, but I just didn't have it, so I just used the white. It did dry white. I'm actually going to go over it with a coat of Dixie Belle's one of their newest colors. It is called Cobblestone. It is a tan with what's the undertone in it? Kind of I can't really describe what the undertone is. More of not a purple, but a mauve undertone. It's definitely in the tan category. So what I did is I pulled two more colors out, and I kind of wanted to blend over the areas that I had done the raised stenciling. So I have two colors along with the cobblestone. So the cobblestone is kind of a tan. I grabbed Dixie Belle's Burlap, which has more of a yellow undertone, and Dixie Belle's Sawmill Gravy, which has a white color with a greasy gray undertone. So I'm applying the cobblestone, and then I am going back and forth with the Sawmill Gravy, which is the lighter color, the cream color, and the Burlap, which is the yellower color, like right there. So what I'm doing is just kind of blending them together, just so that the sides are just not flat. I don't really like when it's flat. I want it to show movement and dimension. So I'm just going to kind of circle my brush around, make sure that my paint is staying a little bit moist so that it will move. I'm not using a ton of paint to do this. It will, though, help with the movement of the raised areas. It's a really nice way to give your piece, when you look at it, depth that it doesn't have when you only paint one flat coat of paint, right? So just kind of moving it around, mushing it around, just getting it to be movement. Now you can't really see the raised stencils, but we will fix that later on. So on the drawer fronts, I decided to see how they kind of bow out. So what I'm going to do is the same color combo. I'm going to put the burlap in the middle, the cobblestone on the outside. The burlap is just a hint off, right? It's the yellow undertone. The other one is it's more of the beigey undertone. And then I'm going to add some Sawmill Gravy. What I did was create an illusion, and I will tell you, it is very slight to the eye for you guys to see. But I added the Sawmill Gravy in the middle, and then the burlap on the, like I worked out. And what it did is it made that middle almost look like it was sparkling in the middle. It just gave it the highlight that it didn't have. It's crazy, but it's really, really pretty. So I went ahead, you can see it's a little bit lighter right there. That's the burlap. And then I'm going to add the sawmill gravy right in the middle. And then I'm going to just lightly blend them all together. Trying to keep my brush pretty to see how it just gives that middle of the illusion that it's just shining, like the light shining on it. Can you see it? So slight. But that's the beauty about artistic furniture painting, is that it's those little things that set you apart from all the other artists that are out there. Those little thoughtful hints that give you that little surprise, right? That like, wow, check that out. So the cobblestone goes on, then we add the burlap in the middle, a little bit of sawmill gravy, and before you know it, look at it's, see the yellow undertone, and then a little bit of sawmill gravy, wipe my brush off, and all of a sudden wipe my brush off again and softly blend with a little bit of water. And all of a sudden the middle just pops like the light is just shining on it. Isn't that sensational? It's just those slight little things. I also blended on the raised stenciling on the sides of the piece, in the middle of the drawers, and everything. Like I said, it's very hard to see on video, but now that I explained it to you, you can totally see it, right? It's just a little bit. And sometimes that's all it takes, is a little bit. So we've done all the raised stencil. I'm going to go ahead and take a piece of 220 sandpaper and just lightly hit it, because I kind of want the white of the raised stencil to show through. Just give it another bit of an element, a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit. So as soon as I hit that raised stencil with a piece of sandpaper again, the white will show through. It just is another element that I wanted to add, because I did add the white on the drawer fronts in the sawmill gravy or the cream. This kind of just gives it illusion. So now I'm going to go ahead and put some wax on my piece. Now wax is a sealer that you put over the top of chalk paint that helps to keep it, so when you do other finishes, it just keeps it really nice and allows you to work with colored waxes or gilding waxes on top of this. So believe it or not, I use Dixie Belle paint on this piece, but I'm not using Dixie Belle wax to wax it. I really am in love with the Wise Owl wax. Like I said, I retail all of these products, and you can find them at tonatransformations.com. I will link it all in the description. Wise Owl's wax is an oil-based wax. It's the most creamiest, smoothest wax I've ever used. It's not too oily. It's not too sticky. I love it. So when you use a chalk type paint, you will always wax your piece, and then you will buff the wax off. What this does is protect your paint for years to come. It makes your finish super hard and durable, and it gets rid of any chalky-like finish that you may have. I grab a microfiber rag, and I get these at Costco. I buy them like once a year. I wash them every week, and they last and last and last and last. So I've put the Wise Owl wax on, then I went ahead and wiped it off. I am now going to add some gilding wax. Gilding wax is another product that's an oil-based product. This stuff is sensational. I am using Dixie Belle's Bronze. I just took a little bit of it and put it on the lid. And this stuff goes so far, you guys. Like, it will last you for years. I am using my ring finger. Yes, my ring finger. We automatically tend to grab our pointer finger to do everything, right? It's stronger. It's what we're used to using. I will give you one word of caution. If you use your pointer finger and you do delicate things like this, like just highlighting the raised stencil, more than likely you will put too much product on it and it will look smeared. So I always just dip my finger in just a little tiny bit. We're talking, I took a screwdriver, took a little dollop of it, put it on the lid. We're talking a little, half a tiny bit of gilding wax. I used bronze first, which is kind of a brown color. Now I'm going to use gold. See how little that is on the lid? I'm not wiping my finger off. Same finger, ring finger, not the pointer finger. Ring finger. Just mooshing it in. No. No. Ring finger. I couldn't figure out how to hold my ring finger up. And just kind of going over. Now I'm going over the bronze. I'm going over new spots. It's kind of blending itself in. I should have got closer with the video so you could see it. But what it's doing is it's actually pulling your eye to the raised stencil. The raised beautiful stencil that you put on in the beginning, and just adding a little bit. Yeah, you could paint on it. You could probably try to dry brush it. But if you get a good gilding wax that you can just lightly, and I'm not doing the whole thing. I'm not putting gilding wax on the entire raised stencil. Just here and there. Lesser is better sometimes, folks. Lesser is better. So we're going to repeat the process once again. Take that screwdriver. My gilding waxes are really low, so I can't stick my fingers in them and get stuck underneath my nails. So I just go ahead and take a little bit, stick it on the lid, and just repeat the process until I get the desired effect. It's very tedious, so you could use a brush, but I will tell you right now, you will have less control with a brush than you do with your ring finger. And the reason you use a ring finger is most of us know, especially the ladies in the house, we were always taught to use our ring fingers to apply makeup so we wouldn't get wrinkles. Same thing goes for this. It's a lighter touch. You're not going to press too hard. If you use your pointer finger, you will press too hard and you will smear it all over. You don't want to do that. So just try to remember to use your ring finger. That's just my tona tip of the day. So this is the side. It's a little bit wider. It's got quite a bit of an area. So we are just adding the bronze first. And then we go grab the can of gold. And then we will do the same process. Take a little bit. Stick it on the lid. I mean, if my gilding waxes were full, I wouldn't have had to do that. I could have stuck my finger in there. But they're almost gone, so I had to dig it out. But anyhow, you use such a little amount. Did you know also that gilding waxes are permanent? They're an oil-based product and they dry hard as a rock. Do you know that I use them all the time to change the color of my hardware on a piece? All the time. So say you have silver hardware and you want it to be gold. Clean it really well, scuff it if you can, and just take some gold gilding wax. You can use a brush for that or your finger and put it on. Wait overnight and it will be hard as a rock. It will not come off. It's amazing, amazing stuff. Most gilding waxes are permanent like that. I'm using the Dixie Belle ones. There's also redesigned with Prima. There's a bunch of brands out there. So basically just doing the same thing. Wax, you got to wax first. Clear wax first. If you were to put your gilding wax on before you clear wax, you'd just smear it everywhere because you need to seal your piece. Can you see the color deepen as I wax the entire piece? It's darker. It really does seal that paint and do such a beautiful job on it and give us just a amazing finish. So, and then you make sure to wipe off your excess wax. This is called buffing or wiping it off. It helps so that way your wax will cure faster and it won't be sticky. If you miss this step, your wax will never cure and it will always be sticky. Nobody wants sticky wax. Nobody. So just keep putting the gilding wax on, like I say. And with your finger, I'm sorry, but I don't know how to cut this part out. I wish I would have cut this out because it's the same thing I just did on the other two sides. But we're almost to the point. Hold tight. It'll be over in about 10 seconds. That we're going to add some dark wax, okay, to make it even more in depth. Now I'm going with the gold over the top, just adding that like we've done on the other sides. But I did include this video clip so that I could show you the dark brown wax. And I'm having a hard time with my video editor, or I would have cut this out because you've already watched it for the last 2 minutes. Sorry. Don't stop though. Don't stop watching because a really cool part's going to start here in 2 seconds. So I like to use a dark brown wax. So I am using a dark brown wax. There is a little bit of a reveal around the sides of this piece. A dark brown wax is a really fun thing to put around you, and you can use any of the brands. I'm happy to use DIY's dark brown wax. It's my favorite. I use Dixie Belle paint, Wise Owl clear wax. Now I'm using DIY dark wax. But you know what, guys? If you have Dixie Belle dark wax, use it. If you have Loisel's brown wax, use it. I just happen to have all the fun things. But look, this gives you depth. You can't really see it right now, but you're going to see it in a second when I step away and show you the side that I didn't do yet. What this does is all of a sudden our attention is drawn, not just from a blank piece, but it's drawn to that middle accent that we did. That's drawn right in the middle there, and you're just like, OMG, look at how cool it is right in that depth. When you use a dark wax, I like the creamier waxes. I like to kind of offload them a little bit, so that way I don't use too much. And the reason that I clear wax this piece first was so that when I put the dark wax on, I could totally wipe it back. If I hadn't clear waxed it, it would be really hard to wipe that back, and it would look more like this. You wouldn't be able to remove as much. So I always clear wax first and then take my rag after I put the dark wax on, and do not walk away from this product. If you were to just say dark wax and then like go make dinner and come back, guess what? You ain't going to get this stuff off. It's going to look like hot mess express. So really commit to when you're doing things, because waxes and the such will dry and then you won't be able to wipe it off. The whole idea with the dark wax is to be able to control it, to be able to remove it when you need to, and just kind of buff it in. So you put it on and you keep moving your cloth to a clean spot on your cloth, and then you wipe it off. And yes, folks, I wash these every week. I use them over and over and over, at least a year before I buy new ones, and I paint every single day. So look at the depth now. It's not flat anymore. Now it has depth. You're like, wow, look at how deep it is. It's totally different from before without it to after. Absolutely different. So I was going to put some in my design, and then I stopped and I was like, nope, I don't need it. So I kind of wiped it off. And that's fine, because sometimes I'll go, well, maybe I want to, and then no, I don't think so. So you don't have to commit all the way, and it will come off. So the reason it sets really well in the recessed corners is because they're corners. That's why using a dark wax, meaning brown or black, looks great. This is a dark brown wax, and it's why it looks so good. So see that one, and see the side that hasn't been done, right? It looks totally different. Look at the difference. See how deep the one on the right is as opposed to the one on the left? And then I will do the one in the middle the same way. It's so amazing, right?